Morning, everyone. Hi. Hi, happy midweek, and welcome to our webinar, Influencer to Truly Effective in Shaping Influence. I'm your host for today, Shakira, and I'll be guiding this enlightening session. In today's world where influencer marketing has become a common marketing tool, it's important to understand the driving forces behind its success and explore the real influence of influencers. And whether you are a seasoned marketer or newcomer to the influencer marketing arena, think of this as your backstage pass to the world of influencers and brands. Now, let's extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guest speaker. First, we have Aileen, our marketing manager, and Esther, our super BD from Particles Malaysia, to share their expertise and personal experience in the field.
Hello.
Hi, Aileen. Hi, Esther.
Hello, hi everybody.
Hi.
Hi. How are you both feeling today?
Excited?
Okay. Before we dive to this webinar, just a quick note here. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the chat box. We also have a Q&A session at the end, so feel free to hold on to the questions and we'll make sure they are answered. Okay, now let's get the session started. I'll be sharing a social media consumption and also the impact of influencer marketing in Malaysia. That inform our current happening is the key to developing strategies that allow the market demand, right? Okay, the first one, social media consumption in Malaysia. Malaysia recorded a population of 34.13 million and 26.8 million of them are social media users, which takes around 78% of the total population. The top reason for using social media is to get information, stay connected, and create content. Next one, in Malaysia, favorite social media content are IG Reels, IG Posts, and TikToks. Next one, in terms of media spending in Malaysia this year, Facebook maintained its position as the top platform, followed by Instagram and TikTok. So I'm talking about the most used social media in Malaysia. Facebook remained the top, followed by YouTube and Instagram, according to Statista. Secondly, influencer marketing spending and usage from pre to post-pandemic. The percentage of brands that have invested in influencer marketing increased from 73.2% in 2021 to 87.8% in 2023. The third one is influencer marketing trend in Asia. More than 86% of social media users from particular survey prefer influencer account over brand accounts due to relatable content and honest reviews. In 2021, 68.3% of brands work with influencers. The number increased to 76.6% in 2022 and again to 83.9% in 2023. Lastly, influencer marketing is expected to cross 19 billion US in 2023 and projected to hit 30 billion in 2027. It is therefore fitting for brands to seek influencer expertise to engage with the target customer and social media platform, where they spend most of their time on. Right? I believe most of you had an idea of how social media landscape is performing right now. Let's hop onto the highly awaited discussion. Are influencers truly effective in shaping influencers? What is your opinion on this with the shift of social media phenomena? Maybe Aileen first?
Okay, thank you, Shakira. I think before I address by influencers, And it seems like I'm not the only one succumbing to their reviews as well. And this possibly actually shows how extensively influencers actually shape our choices these days. A matter of fact, even my usual method of finding good food to eat has now shifted from relying on Google reviews to turning to social media actually. Still on Instagram, but recently on Xiaohongshu as well. Now it's not enough, no longer enough for me to just read about Google reviews, how good the food is, right? I just want to experience it through the eye of the influencers, through their videos and reels. And let's be honest, I think that is the reality today. So people trust influencers because they are not hiding behind a brand. They take responsibility of what they share and what they do. And in my opinion, I think it gives the recommendations and more credibility as well. So I guess to what you just mentioned, I honestly think that there has definitely been a shift in terms of shaping public sentiments.
Okay, how about you, Esther?
I think I very much agree with Aileen. So sorry. So as a consumer myself, right, I normally wouldn't just look at one influencer's content before purchasing, right? It doesn't really make sense, right? But instead, normally I'll scroll through, multiple contents on social media before even deciding on something, before even deciding on my purchase, in order to get like the most credible review out of it. So similarly, like what Aileen has mentioned. So sometimes you might see one of the influencers' content on your IG Reels, right? You might get intrigued by it, you might get interested by it. But then you will actually want to see more. So maybe then that's where you hop onto another platform, say onto Xiaohongshu. Then that's where you can get all the credible testimonials, all of the brand product reviews, and so, right? So that's where normally people will get their interest and awareness increase. And of course, then the actually in a way like they would want to push themselves to actually purchase it, right? So of course, another portion that we want to highlight is also that it's also important to engage the right influencers, right? So for example, for instance, we wouldn't want like a beauty guru, right, to be talking about, say, mobile gadget recommendations, right? So consumers like ourselves, right, we know what we want to see and from actually who we want to see it from, right? So to address that question and discussion pointer is that, of course, it's truly makes sense that recently the social phenomenon is really out there right now, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with both of you lah. Macam influencer are effective only when they reach the right target audience basically. Like recently on my FYP kan, I saw a lot of macam KOL, beauty, they share about brand, beauty, blusher. Basically macam, to be honest, I'm not a blusher girl, but when you keep seeing it kan, you feel like macam, I need to know more about this product. So I cannot help it. So I just check all the review from the video basically. That guess what? It's on my Sephora card already. But it just now waiting for the right time to waiting the right time to buy basically. Okay, so I mentioned about KOL a bit just now. So Aileen and Esther, we've heard this term KOC and KOL while talking about influencers usually lah. Are they the same? Maybe as you want to clarify on this?
Sure. Okay, so to just give a very brief overview, right? Let me start with just KOC first, right? So KOC are what we call our key opinion consumers. Okay, so basically these people are actually everyday people. So people like us, right? We don't have a big following on social media. We are just normal, ordinary person, right? We are not famous. Okay, but normally what we do is that we can actually help to share maybe some brand information along with our own genuine personal opinion. Right, so this is always based on our first-hand experience after we have tried out a certain product or service where, where say we want to share it with our friends and family on our platform, right? So these KOCs, they normally have a smaller follower count, as I mentioned just now, okay? And normally their target is much more niche, is much more organic and relatable in terms of their contents, right? And of course, because majority of their followers, of course, are people who they know in real life, right? Their friends, their families, their colleagues, perhaps, right? So in return, right, there is much more of a significant influence to their communities, normally through word of mouth, right? And of course, they have a much more loyal community base, which helps to result in higher conversations, right? So that's where it becomes higher of a conversion rate. And of course, it's much more cost effective as well as compared to you engaging a big KOL, right? A famous KOL, right? So then that leads me to my second point, which is actually what we hear a lot, KOLs, right? Key opinion leaders, right? So this bunch of people, they are actually individuals who normally have a very big influence in their own profound expertise, right? So for example, say our celebrities, or say our industry experts or our businessmen and women, right, who normally have a very, very big following or even have their own fan base, right, on their profiles, right? So to just give a few examples, right, people that we heard of a lot will probably be, say, Elon Musk. Or say in Malaysia, we have our very own fashion KOLs like say Christina Kwan, right, Justina Kwan, and so on, right? So these people, they have much more of professional content, right? Their content are normally much more refined, much more high quality, right? They can actually easily help you to gain eyeballs, right? Because they have such a big following, they can get a lot of eyeballs for you, right? Which can potentially help you to increase your brand awareness rapidly. But of course, the cost that is normally incurred is much more on the higher end. Yeah, so these are their main differences between both. So I would say that brands, normally you can definitely select any group that aligns with your current objective, right? But it's not necessary to only choose one, right? You can actually mix and match them around, right? So some examples that you guys might have seen on your social media, right? For example, Innisfree, right? Innisfree, they have partnered with a lot of big KOLs before, but at the same time, they have also engaged a lot of seeders, right? So this is actually like killing two birds with one stone. Like in the package, you can actually target different KOLs target different tiering of influencers to actually help to hit your brand objectives. Yeah, so there's the main differences between them. Yeah.
I just put whatever Esther said in short. KOC are those with smaller follower count, but authentic and unique. As for KOL, they have a big numbers, but their content is more professional and high effort content. How put it? All right. Okay. So now we know about KOC and KOL. Since a lot of marketers always talk about finding the right influencer in our niche. So when it comes to finding the right influencer, what strategy do you recommend, Aileen? What do you think?
In my personal opinion, when it comes to finding the right influencers for your brand niche, there are actually a few key strategies that you can actually follow. I think two main points here that I would like to share today. The first one is deeply understand your brand. I think this one is very, very important. Know what are your key values, what are the objectives that you're aiming to achieve through influencer partnership. That's number one. The second thing is also seek influencers who not only have a following in your niche, but also possess a genuine interest and love for your brand. It will be a bonus if they are also knowledgeable in that area. Because remember, at the end of the day, it's not just about the follower count. Focus on the quality of the engagements as well, and also the influencers' ability to resonate with their audience. I think what the key point that I want you guys to remember is basically resonating content that resonates or content that actually relates back to them, right? Additionally, compatibility and also working relationship matters significantly. So ensure that you can collaborate effectively with your chosen influencers, whoever that may be. I honestly believe by applying these strategies, you'll be on the path to establishing, at least try to establish an authentic and successful influencer partnership within your niche as well.
Esther, anything you want to add on?
Yep, I think thanks Aileen for the great tips. Just to add on a little bit, right? So I think by getting the right influencers, of course, is still the key in determining the success of your influencer campaign, right? But once you are actually able to identify the correct bunch for let's say, right, you can actually start to consider, say, engaging them as your brand ambassadors. Okay, so brand ambassadors are actually people that you can engage for a certain period of time. So normally it's maybe say between 3 months, 6 months, or even longer, right? So these brand ambassadors, what they can potentially help you to do is that they can help you to further generate a much more stronger storyline, right, for your brand for a longer period of time, so that it can actually help to instill brand credibility to their followers, for instance, right? So of course, then along the way, as we mentioned just now, consumers, they don't just see one post and get converted, but they need time, right? You need to have patience between the whole process, right? So brand ambassador would be potentially something that you can potentially think of as well, right? Or consider as well when it comes to your marketing plans.
Right, but the key is to partner with those who align with brand value, genuine and interested about our brand. So guys, quality over quantity, and be sure to take note of influencers quality and authenticity as well. Okay, moving on to our next topic. We'll provide you a roadmap to kickstart your influencer marketing journey. What step do you believe brands should take to kickstart their influencer marketing journey effectively? Let's look into BD perspective. Maybe Esther first?
Okay, sure. So I think this might potentially be more relevant to say if let's say your brand is you're very new to influencer marketing, right? You don't know where to start from, right? So I think the very first thing that is important to understand, right, is that you need to take a look at the purchasing funnel, for instance, right? So easier said, we cannot expect sales to come in on the very first day that you are carrying out your marketing plans, right? So it actually takes a lot of time and steps to actually achieve it. Right, so if I were to start with giving a tip, I would say first up is, of course, it's very important to clearly define your brand objectives or say your KPI. So if let's say, for example, right, is it a certain product that you are looking to push? Maybe say out of 10 different other products that you have, right? So if that is the case, you have to potentially focus all of your postings or say your KOLs UGC contents based on that particular product so that people can actually not get straight away, or get confused by what is really your focus, right? Or is it really to say, for example, you're looking to drive traffic to your brick and mortar store? Or is it to your e-commerce platform that you just recently built up, say your Shopee, your Lazada stage, right? So it's very important to help you to determine which is the most important step that you are trying to focus during that particular campaign, right? So then the next step that you potentially want to look at is, of course, say, what is the most effective timeline to run it, right? So to give a small tip here is that since we are nearing the year end already, right? It's actually very much recommended to leverage, on our year end festive period. So for example, like we have our Christmas, our year-end sales, we have like the 12/12, 11/11 double-digit sales, right? And also say Cyber Monday sales. Or even in Malaysia, right? We have so many festive periods out there. We have Chinese New Year, we have Raya, we have Deepavali, right? And so on and so forth. So it's actually best to leverage on these festive periods so that the influencers themselves can also use this as a strong point to come up with much more organic contents, right? So then I think the next point that I would actually want to highlight, of course, is also say allocating, right, a certain budget for your influencer marketing, right? And with that budget, which platform will actually be the best option to leverage on, right? Because in Malaysia, as Shakira shared earlier in the webinar earlier on, is that we have so many platforms out there, right? We have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even nowadays we have Xiaohongshu and so on and so forth. So which is the best for you? You can pair it together with the right bunch of influencers as shared earlier on. Yeah, so this is some of the key pointers, right, that potentially you might want to take note of when it comes to planning out your influencer marketing. Yeah.
How about you, Aileen? From a marketing side, maybe?
I honestly think that whatever that Esther has just shared are very valuable, but just taking a step back, if you're very, very new to the influencer journey, I feel, and I would definitely recommend, you don't know where to start, you can always take a page from the brands that has been down the road. I think in this case, looking at your competitors, right? So check out their previous campaigns, see what worked for them and what did not work for them, right? And then applying to whatever that Esther has just mentioned earlier. Don't forget, we also do a lot of A/B testings. So there is no one, there's no one successful tip for all. It changes every day, right? So do a lot of A/B testing with various influencer tiers and different platforms, and also fine-tune your strategy to stay flexible to change. I think staying flexible to change is a very important thing to take note of. Honestly, there is no, like I've mentioned, there's no one template to success. It's all about learning and from experiences and also keeping an open mind, right? Whatever that you see today might be something that you can, a creative idea that you can think of for tomorrow. So don't just focus on what are the has-beens, but also opening up and, open to possibilities of new creative things that you can do, especially in the world of influencer.
Okay, since you mentioned about influencer tiers, maybe for the benefit of our audience, would you mind sharing the differences between various influencer tiers?
Okay, I'll make it as simple as possible. I will break it down this way. Think of influencers in 3 categories. First, you have the nanos. In mass, they are like your megaphones. So they are great in getting the word out and also getting people's attention as the top funnel, right? Then they are your micro, macro, and mega influencers. Consider them as your long-term buddies that you can definitely work with them to advocate your brand and instill the brand awareness in your target audience. But guess what? These days, it's not just the nanos, even not just the micro, macro, and mega and celebrities that are getting more getting more eyeballs. These days, nanos are getting a lot of hits as well, though their followings are actually smaller. We can actually see that because of the smaller groups that they have, the more authentic messaging that they have, they're actually converting better as well. So what I'm trying to say is, no matter the size, influencers can help you get noticed and turn your curious target audience into happy customers. But the whole thing is how do you use it? But regardless, think of this different tier of influencers as different tools in your marketing toolbox.
A great aspect, in your opinion, while working with different influencer tiers, how to sustain campaigns longer and how frequent do you recommend running influencer marketing campaigns to maintain their impact?
Got it, got it. Okay, so I think to answer that question, right, it's important to span out your campaign, right, to help sustain it better. So I love giving examples, right? So I would say, for example, again, right, splitting campaigns into different stages is something that you might want to consider, right? So a lot of times, if say you have a campaign spanning between 2 months, right? You can actually split it into different stages. In say the first one would be pre-campaign stage, right? So during the pre-campaign stage is normally where the brands will generate hype, right? Generate the curiosity, right? So this is where the mass nanos, right? As Aileen mentioned just now, the mass nanos, our megaphones, that is where they can come into action. They can spread the word of mouth around to different communities and help you to generate that curiosity. All right, so that during the actual campaign drop, okay, which is normally the big boom, right? The big boom. So this is where the influences between the different tierings, of course, depending on which tiering you are engaging, say the micro or the macro or even the mega KOLs, the UGC contents, the user-generated contents that they produce, right, will come into action where they actually share about your product, your brand in details, say maybe your USPs, your product effectiveness, and of course, the call to action that you are looking to push out. Okay, and then from there on, that moves to the next stage, which is the final one, which is the post-campaign stage, right? So the post-campaign stage will normally serve to actually help to refresh, right, the public's memory about your campaign. So this is where you can actually utilize, right, interactive function on social media actually. So if you know, especially on IG, right, on Instagram, on the story, Instagram story, although it only exists for 24 hours, but there are actually a lot of things that you can play around with it. So for example, we have, say, the ask a question, we have the polls, the quizzes, or even the most important impacted one is actually the URL link sticker, right? Where the influencers are actually able to insert a certain landing page link, okay, or even a purchase link. So that can help you to give a final push to the call to action that you're looking to push out, right? Is it sales? Is it traffic to your website? Okay, depending on what is your campaign's objective looking like. Right. So then to answer the following question where, how often do we actually recommend running influencer campaign, right? I would say that normally it's best to say if you are able to run a campaign every quarter or so, right? To keep the conversation warm on social media. So as we mentioned just now earlier on as well, it's important to know that consumers on social media especially, they need to be constantly reminded, right? To constantly look at your brand, look at your product, then only that's where they can get pushed. Right, so based on our Malaysian insights that we actually planned out in our report previously, right, nearly close to up to 95% of Malaysians, right, they need to see a product being promoted by an influencer at least 2 times, at least twice before making a purchase, right? So this is a very clear cut, a very simple things to understand already, that people need at least twice to get converted, right? So again, maybe this is just a TMI, right? But I like giving examples because I think people can relate better from there, right? So previously, I actually saw one of my friend, right? She actually constantly shared a review about a serum, right, for dry skin, right? But at that point of time, I didn't need any review, I didn't need any new product, right? Skincare is very personal, right? And I just go through it lah. I didn't have any interest on it, right? But after coming back from my Japan trip recently, the weather was so different from Malaysia. It was so dry there. And my skin got so dry and patchy. So that's when I started to panic, right? I wanted to get my hands on like a good moisturizing serum. So that's when I had the aha moment, right? Hey, wait, I think I saw my friend sharing about this previously, right? So that's where I went back to her profile and actually went through that post, right? So that actually got me more curious about the product, like what Shakira shared as well for a rare beauty blusher, right? Then she added into a Sephora cart. Yeah, so that's what happened to me as well, I got me curious. I searched it up on my Shopee and I read through more reviews about it. And then waiting for the right time, waiting for 11/11 to actually buy that product, right? So this reminds us all, right, that, we cannot expect an instant result, okay, just after running one influencer campaign. But instead, this will take normally a constant period of time to be generated. And so I would say be patient and let's trust the process. Yeah.
Oh, agree. Maybe I would like to add a bit lah. At Particles, this is how we categorize for Nano. Nano, the number of followers less than 5K. And why Nanos? Because most brands agree that authenticity is the most important quality when working with nano influencer. So I believe Aileen and Esther have given us a great foundation of how influencer marketing looks like. At Particles, we work with brands across different industries, and here's a compilation of top 5 challenges faced by brands. Firstly, managing influencer relationship. Maybe Aileen, you want to share how can brands address this challenge?
Okay, as a marketer myself, to be honest, managing influencer relationships on a long-term basis is actually not easy. But it's also one of the most important things when it comes to doing the right partnership and getting the best ROI, right? So just remember that at the end of the day, trust is the foundation of any successful influencer brand relationship, in your opinion. First things first, I think something that a lot of brands or even myself I don't do is we can actually demonstrate our trust in the influencers that we have chosen by giving them some room for their own creative freedom and also how they think, right? And trusting them that they would actually understand our brief and deliver what we have briefed them. In return, we also do have an expectation, hopefully, that they will understand the brief and deliver, but also also exhibit transparency, professionalism, and also have a genuine commitment to the brand values and whatever that we stand for. Don't forget, at the end of the day, consistent communication is also very important. I know that we have a lot of emails, we have a lot of things to attend to, but please bear in mind when you work with influencers, regular check-ins are important. Open conversations, be it bad or good or learnings or challenges is important. Feedback sessions after campaign is also important. The most important part is also ensuring that the influencers will have the necessary tools and resources to succeed in the influencer partnership that we have with them. So support them. I would say that when you support them, it's the same as supporting your own plan. So I guess that would be my tip, I would say.
Thank you. For the second challenge, influencer marketing doesn't deliver instant result. This is what Esther already mentioned just now. Do you think there's no instant result when it comes to influencer marketing, Ali? Maybe this is from your point of view.
My point of view, I think it still stands. I think same goes to life. There are no shortcuts to success. This is the same with influencer marketing as well. I think brands should embrace patience as a guiding principle and see it as a journey, not a destination. And I think building brand awareness, trust, loyal audience actually take time and a lot of hard work and also a lot of consistency. Trusting the process, like how Esther has mentioned it, meaning to have faith that whatever that you have done cumulatively would actually build your success one day, right? Remember that Rome was not built in a day. So just remember that it took brick by brick to actually build Rome. So it's the same with any marketing initiatives. The same goes to influencer as well. So ending with this, it with this, the world of influencer marketing, patience is not just a virtue. Just remember it's a necessity. But trust me, it will be worth it when you do it the right way.
Okay, moving on to the next challenge. It's more towards time consumption. Aileen, do you think influencer marketing is time consuming in terms of performance tracking?
I agree. It's a challenge for a reason, a top 3 challenge for a reason. I think as a marketer, even before I work with party posts, I think working with influencers definitely has its set of challenges, especially we don't have a lot of time. So just remember that, I need to find someone that actually resonates with the brand, someone that has the same niche, most probably has a good engagement rate as well, getting them, reaching out to them, and then after that, briefing them, making sure they understand the brief, and then, vetting through their end product. Last but not least is also measuring their successes, right? There will be a lot of metrics that is tagged to it, right? So it's a very long process, though it's already a mouthful, right? It's already a mouthful. So there is a lot of things, right? But just know that there are actually a lot of tools, a lot of ways, and also a lot of agencies out there that can actually help you streamline the process. So it depends. At the end of the day, right? Is time more important or money more important? Can we actually, pass it on to someone to actually help us with this process when we can actually save time in sourcing, but at the same time, we take more time to strategize the overview big ideas that you have for your brand. So working cohesively with, someone or even a tool, right, can definitely help you, give you more time to do more things, I would say. So in a nutshell, I think it does take a lot of time, but it doesn't have.
Thank you, Aileen. Esther, you mentioned earlier about right influencers. Many brands find it challenging to find the ideal influencer. Do you have any tips and also how do brands encounter influencers with fake followers as well?
Okay, that's a very good question, I would say. So again, looking for the right influencers is always, I believe, is one of the most challenging thing that brands normally have in mind, right? So I think first thing first is that perhaps you can actually take a look back into your customer base first, right? You need to know, who are the bunch of people that are normally more intrigued into your service or your product, right? So for like, if it's a beauty skincare, is it an anti-aging? And of course, if it's anti-aging, you need to find people who are, say, 25 and above, right? So aside from getting influencers who have genuine interest in your industry, and those who actually fit and resonates with your target audience well is also extremely important, right? So the demographics of your influencers should also be something that you need to take into mind, right? It should be relevant, equivalent to your brand's target audience, right? So if let's say today you are looking for customer who is example just I mentioned, anti-aging beauty skincare, right? So definitely you would have to find a beauty influencer that is fitting of that age group, right? It doesn't make sense for you to find an 18-year-old go to talk about anti-aging, although that KOLC is very famous, right? So then that is example, right? But to also answer that second question and relate back to, influencers with, say, healthy engagement rate is also important, right? And definitely one of the things that we often hear in the industry is regarding fake followers, right? So there are definitely still a lot of influencers out there. I wouldn't say there's none, right? There's definitely still people out there with these fake followers, but how do we normally identify it? Okay, it will be, say, like laying out a few important metrics to identify them, right? So if let's say you are comparing their engagement rate in accounts to their followers count, right? It doesn't make sense for a 20,000 KOL to have less than 100 engagement on their posting, right? Then you know that there's some issue with it already, right? So to make it simpler, as Aileen mentioned just now as well, you can actually make use of a few tools out there, right? So to just give a few examples to everyone, you can go on Google later on. You can actually look out for, say, Hype Auditor, InBeats, okay, or even Social Blade and etc. There are a lot of this kind of social media calculator out there that can help you to give out a better view out of it. Okay, they can assist you in the process, right? But in general, right, I would say that it's still not really possible to eliminate 100% of this issue, I would say, okay? But instead, we can actually dilute them, right? How do we dilute them? Is that we can actually partner with much more true and genuine influencers, right? So of course, over time, these influencers who practice, this kind of fake followers habit, then that's where they will decrease, right? They will tend to actually post much more organic contents to actually relate back to their fan base, and then that's where they can actually build up back their healthy engagement rate from there on. Yeah, so that's my two takes on it.
Thank you, Aileen and Esther, for the explanation. I guess every challenge has a solution. It may sometimes just need another expertise, maybe. As we wrap up this session, this discussion, basically, do you have any final tips to share with our audience for achieving success in this field? Maybe Esther, you want to start?
Sure. So if you're talking about tips, okay, I think something that I want to repeat again and again is that influencer marketing is, of course, still a very long-term effort, right? Frequency, consistency is the key, right? So I would just like to take one of our case studies as an example. I think brands love hearing about case studies, right? So Unilever, Simple, right? If you have heard of Simple, the brand, you can always find in Guardian and Watson, the beauty brand, right? They actually approached us previously with a challenge in getting seeders, right, on the large scale, right? They want to actually produce video contents out there, user-generated contents, video contents in particular, okay, where they want to actually leverage on different social media platform, right? Because Simple, they are actually one of the very much more cost-effective skincare out there, where normally they will target younger generations, like say our Gen Zs, or say young adults that are just stepping into the beauty world, right? So that is where potentially you can leverage on these different social media platforms, for example, Instagram and TikTok, and also Xiaohongshu to actually target on the Chinese audiences, right? So by doing this, they can help to actually achieve their brand objectives, okay? And at the same time, because the seeders are actually out there to seed so many of their video contents out there to let people be aware of the brand, right? To be educated about their products, right? This can actually keep the public reminded, right, that they are actually still one of the best cost-effective skincare out there, and it can actually be easily found in your Watsons and Guardian, just the one located near your house, right? So this is one of the case study that I want to highlight. And of course, still, I also do not want to forget that to remind all of the brands out there, do not forget to leverage on our upcoming, promotional and year-end seasonal campaigns, because that is the best time to actually help you push out your influencer campaign out there. Yeah.
Aileen, any tips from you?
So marketer, I think I'll keep it short and sweet, adapt and evolve. So I think the influencer landscape, not just the influencer landscape, I think social media landscape is continuously changing as we speak, and it's evolving on a daily basis, right? So I would just say that be ready to adapt to new trends, be open to different platforms, and to also make sure that to keep choosing influencers that are relevant to your brand, so that they can actually be more effective when it comes to driving your right. So I would say that my tip would definitely be adapt and evolve. Thanks, Shakira.
Thank you, Aileen and Esther. I believe we are approaching the end of this session. So the key takeaway for every marketer here is to be one, to be consistent. Second, to be brave to do try and error. There's opportunity everywhere. The thing is, how could we find a sweet spot to achieve our goals? And particles. We endorse everyday people, also known as nano influencer, and help to connect brands and influencers through word of mouth marketing. Currently, we have 1/million party poster in our database across 8 key regions: Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, Taiwan, Vietnam, Hong Kong, and Thailand. So what sets us apart from other marketing agencies? The first one definitely will be our automated platform to launch and track the campaigns all in one place. Of course, our USP includes our mass leader campaign, which the tons of like, comment, share that could achieve wide brand awareness. In line with this, we do help to track the campaigns and provide post-campaign report for our clients once the campaign is closed. Last but not least, we provide 12-month free digital content usage, and special note, we have a team to strategize your annual influencer marketing plan too. Next one, we prepare a case study for you, Four Fingers Crispy Chicken. Client challenges, basically their signature chicken cheesy menu, but they want to differentiate from their competition. The objective, they want to achieve the highest impression and engagement. And particles, what we have here, we recommended launching mass campaign, IG story share, and also UGC campaigns. For TikTok Nano, we received around 18.22% view rate, which is higher by industry rate. And for IG story reshare, we have around 100 IG story reshare. Next one. Okay, for those not plan for upcoming seasonal influencer marketing campaigns like Chinese New Year, I believe you should start now, shouldn't you? Moving on to the final part of the webinar. Okay, we are open the floor for the Q&A session. Does anyone have any questions? Let me check on the chat box. Okay, any questions? Okay, we have one question. How much do brands need to start an influencer marketing campaign? Maybe Esther, you want to answer this question?
Sure. Okay, I think it very much depends on a case-by-case basis, right? Because I believe if you say you are a local startup brand, right, your budget might be very much smaller, right? Maybe say if you are a renowned brand, your budget might be very much bigger, right? So we have all kinds of clients coming to us every day with different kinds of budget, right? So that's where we can help them to strategize based on what they have, right? So I would say on the average case basis, right, if you want to have an effective, right, to start actually seeing some results, say maybe we start with a nano campaign, right? I would believe minimum, you at least need to engage at least a minimum of 15 to 20 nano influencers in order to see a good potential cumulative reach and awareness out there. Yeah, so if you're talking about in terms of monetary values, right, a good amount to start from, I believe, is normally within the 5,000 to 6,000 range, right? But of course, if let's say you are looking to mix and match influences with different tierings, say a little bit of nanos, a little bit of micro, and a little bit, say 1 to 2 of the mega KOLs, then of course you might have to take into account a much more bigger cost out there, because as we mentioned, big KOLs, their cost is normally on the higher end. Yeah.
Okay, is there any more questions? What the webinar will be sharing a repeated word mass campaign. How do you all define mass campaign? Aileen, you want to answer this question?
Yeah, sure. Let me gather my thoughts a bit. I think mass campaign might be something that we do very well at Party Post, but it could also be a term that is not very, I mean, a lot of brands are very familiar with it. When we talk about mass campaigns, we usually use nanos as leaders. Remember how we use the analogy of nanos being megaphones. And this is when quantity will actually make a difference to actually spread the awareness. Hence, that is why we talk about mass campaign. If you talk about quantity-wise, whatever that we are comfortable here at Party Post, we have done mass campaigns up to 1,000 per month at this rate. So yes, so basically that if you're looking at running a season campaign and you like to drive awareness at the top funnel, basically this is something that we can actually do for you by using the mass campaign.
Thank you, Aileen. Do we have more questions? If not, we'll bring this webinar to a close. Thank you everyone for sticking with us. Just a last note. We are currently having an exclusive double-digit package. For those interested, kindly scan this QR code and leave us details. We'll be sure to contact you as soon as possible. Hope you all have a fantastic day ahead. Enjoy your lunch, and we hope to connect with you all soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for the time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.